I welcome you to our Sunday reflection for the third Sunday of Lent, Year E. The theme of our reflection is choosing what truly satisfies. Why did you ever make us leave Egypt? Exodus chapter 17, verse 3. This question speaks to our constant dissatisfaction with life. Darryl Strawberry is a baseball legend. He played 17 major league seasons with several teams and won the World Series with the Mets in 1986. Unfortunately, off the field, Strawberry struggled with addiction for most of his adult life. In a radio interview, he revealed that growing up without a father left him lonely. Though his pain led him to greatness, his greatness led to destructive behavior. He was successful on the outside, but felt utterly empty inside. Strawberry shared his low points in life, being diagnosed with cancer on 2 occasions, losing his left kidney, and his mom dying young. He turned to addiction to cope with these events. However, he remained hopeless because of the persistent emptiness and dissatisfaction. Thankfully, Strawberry eventually found God. In hindsight, he realized that God was always present in all his difficulties. Unfortunately, he preferred his addiction. This story teaches us that we attempt to resolve the persistent dissatisfaction we experience through addiction while ignoring God's presence and providence. Our readings highlight these points. The first reading recounts the Israelites' rebellion in the wilderness, driven by dissatisfaction. They failed to appreciate God's providence, yet God resolved their situation by providing them with water. In our gospel reading, we meet the Samaritan woman, who equally was dissatisfied with life, seeks fulfillment in wrong places, earning her a bad reputation. St. Paul emphasizes God's limitless care for us, evident in the fact that He gave us His Son to save us, and in the Holy Spirit who is poured into our hearts. Our readings use water to symbolize God's Spirit, which can quench our thirst in a way that no created thing can. Our readings paint a picture of lives that choose created things over God. We also make the same choice. God has done so much for us, yet we are always dissatisfied. The psalmist challenged us, "O that today you will listen to His voice, harden not your hearts." Our hearts are hardened because, like the Israelites and the Samaritan woman, we ignore God and keep hoping that created things will satisfy our longings. The truth is that only God can satisfy our restless hearts. No created thing can fill that void. The addictions we employ to fill our hearts are a caricature of God. According to Andy Crouch, and I quote, "Perhaps the clearest example of idolatry is the pattern we call addiction. Addictions begin with essentially good created stuff. Even the chemicals that become addictive drugs are part of God's good creation and often have beneficial uses in the right context. But in the throes of addiction, we invest that created stuff with transcendent expectations. It begins to hold out the promise of becoming like a God." End of quote. We all have our addictions. Some are harmful, some less so. Yet each of them highlights our dissatisfaction with life and our desire to resolve it by substituting God for His creatures. There is an interesting detail in our gospel reading. The Samaritan woman went away and left her water jar by the well. She no longer needed its stagnant water. Symbolically, leaving the jar behind signifies that Jesus quenches our thirst. This week, we should seek to encounter Jesus and lead others to Him, as the Samaritan woman did. Consequently, I invite you to do the following. Number 1, pray the words, "Jesus, I trust in you," 5 times in a row daily. Say these 5 words with meaning and sincerity. Say them with deliberation and mean them. Secondly, invite a friend or a relative to Mass so that they may be filled with the living water and help satisfy Jesus' thirst for faith-filled souls. Have a blessed week.